Hey everyone, and welcome to our video series that invites experts in their field to share their stories and career insights. I'm Gabby, and in this episode, I'm joined by Sarah Puil, the founder and CEO of BOXT, a direct-to-consumer winery whose mission is to disrupt the fine wine industry. We're in for a treat. Sarah has some great advice when it comes to asking for a raise. And if you stick around until the end, Sarah has agreed to share what to do if you ask for a raise and you don't get it. Trust me, this is something that we can all learn from. Let's get started. So welcome, Sarah. We're so happy to have you with us here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So I think one of our big questions today is around the topic of money. So approaching conversations about money can be so intimidating. I know in my past when I've had to broach that subject, it's very uncomfortable. So what is your advice for, especially newcomers to this subject, what is your advice in approaching that, how to prepare for these tough conversations?
Well, listen, first thing is money is hard to talk about, I think, because nobody's ever talked about it in our entire lives from when we're little children. We're more concerned about the timeline of history than understanding how to balance our checkbooks, which dates me because I don't think there's checkbooks anymore. But so that's the thing, like, first of all, it's hard to talk about money for everybody, not just women, men, it's everybody that's hard to talk about. Listen, if we're talking about money in the context of work, you need to understand what role you're applying for. So if you're applying for a job, you need to understand the role you're applying for in the city that you're applying for it, and what's the going rate. There's so much transparency, and actually we're seeing social conversations where job postings are actually saying, here's the salary range.
Yes, it's so very helpful, and that's where Indeed
but it didn't used to be like that.
It's a great resource.
It's like one of these things where, there's a campaign, show us your leave. It's the same thing. It's like, show us your range. And that's totally what's happening out there, which I think is hugely to the advantage, certainly of people early in their careers, to actually understand what is happening in the ecosystem of work that they're entering.
Absolutely. So that's a very important fact you brought up, to just know your worth, have a salary range in your mind, just so you have an objective to kind of work around, especially when you're talking with these conversations. And along that line, I know you said it, so it's difficult. I know it's difficult for everybody to talk about it, but as a female founder, from your female perspective, what is your insight?
Well, I think I'm a little bit different, and what I would say is, first of all, we're all people. And to assume that, even though the data shows women have a harder time asking for a raise, but to assume that the men also don't feel that fear at the cellular level when you're looking, staring at someone eye to eye and saying, I need more money, they do too.
Yes.
They do too. And listen, I'm 43 years old. I've had many jobs in my career, and now I've started my own company, and I've raised money, and I have to ask people across the table, will you invest in my company? It's the same thing for asking for a raise, and some people say yes, and some people say no. And it's scary every single time.
Oh, yes.
And so you kind of have to say, like, okay, I'm gonna put my game face on, and I'm just gonna do it, because I'm asking for a reason. You have to know what your reason is. You have to know why, what's the why, and why should this other person say yes to you?
Yes.
And then you have to tell a compelling story.
Absolutely. So do you think that all ties into how you formulate your confidence?
So one, you've got to know the context of your role in the larger organization, but when you go in, you've got to start with what value and benefit you're bringing to the company. You're a person, not Jane's making $5,000 more than me, so I want a $5,000 raise. That's like, you should go in
individual
and
to Jane, and you want some individual to me.
That's gonna start the conversation in the wrong place. So know what your role is, know the value of that role to the company, and then know what you are bringing to the table. That's not just what was agreed upon and this is what you're supposed to be doing, but what are you doing every day? You're looking for that little thing, and you're adding extra value. Share that, show how you're meeting your goals. Talk about those things, and then obviously also have the other side of the data. Here's what's going on in the industry. The average rate for, a marketing coordinator is X dollars. This is the range in our community, not in New York City, in Austin, Texas, which is where we're right now, but know where you are and what that value is. So it's got to be, what are you doing? How are you meeting and exceeding expectations? And then also this other piece, oh, and by the way, I want that $5,000. I've done all these things. You guys love me. I get great performance reviews. And also, this is going on in the economy here, and that makes sense.
Yeah, those are all factors that go into that. And from listening to you explain that, I'm thinking, so you got to come in there with, let's say this has been a year since your last review. You started with this company. You have your basic roles that you entered into the company with, and then with that data, you're saying to make personalized to your role, maybe some other roles that you've taken on. It's different from the Janes or the other people in your company because they had different roles.
Not to pick on Jane.
No, not to pick on Jane at all, but she has her own individual.
Listen, it's like everything, right? You have to be prepared. So preparation is what creates success. And that's whether you're asking for money. And it also like tames your fears, right? If you're going to go be in a dance competition, you're not going to go and never have practiced, right? So you've got to be prepared. You've got to practice. And then your fears, and of course you're still going to be like, ugh, and now I've got to get the words out of my mouth. But then your fears go away because you're coming from a place of preparation.
You've done it. Yeah, you've done the work to get there, and once you step into the lion's den, you face it head on, and regardless of the outcome, right? Because that's my next question here is, of course we're hoping for a great outcome. We want that raise, but what happens if we don't get that raise and we're faced with the rejection? How do we harness that? How do we take that to the next step? And
well, there's a couple of things at play, right? So I own a business and we've got people, and sometimes the business just can't give a raise. So sometimes it's not about the individual, and I think you as a person, when you've gone in and you've done the work, you've got to listen to the response and the feedback that you're getting. If the raise isn't happening then, sometimes it's going to be about things you need to improve. And so you have choices. We all have choices when we're presented with things. So if you think about it and you're like, wow, maybe those are things I need to work on, then your next step should be, hey, what are the resources for me to work on this? How can I get better here so that when I come back to you, I can get a raise?
Exactly.
Maybe you're perfect and you deserve a raise, but the company can't do that. Then you also have a choice, right? You can say, okay, I'm on board. I'm part of this team. I want to be a part of this. And so you're going to stay and you're going to give it more time. But then you might say, listen, I love this company, but I can't stay because I need this money for, whatever it is. And then you have to make that choice, and you can be confident in it, and it doesn't have to be a negative. I think that's one of the most important things about our careers is they're ours, like mine.
Yes.
And we don't have to stay somewhere. And I think that also is part of the confidence, and you have a choice.
Yeah, of course. And, even I like what you said there about using that for good, because, every rejection can be used even as a positive, even though it appears negative. It's a learning experience.
Totally. Listen, it's like the worst thing to hear, right? Like take a rejection as a learning experience. But the fact is,
small positive.
Yeah, but the fact is all of those things, they get into the toolkit, and that toolkit moves you forward.
I mean, you have such great advice. Clearly, you've been in this field for a while, and you've progressed a lot in your career, which is amazing. Did you have someone to give you this kind of advice, a mentor of any type that was able to guide you and help you learn these things about?
I mean, I have a lot of mentors. I've been it's two things. Somebody said to me, he said, and actually, I'll tell you who it is, Stedman Graham. He said to me, he's been a longtime mentor in my career. We spend a lot of time together. And he said to me, Sarah, you don't choose your mentors choose you.
Wow. Yeah.
Because the reality is a mentor is going to invest a lot of time in you. And so you can't just be like, hey, I want this person over here to be my mentor. Of course, like you can put yourself in a position, but they also have to want it too. It's a reciprocal thing. There's somebody that I'm currently spending a lot of time with, and she calls me her mentor. I'm like, don't call me that, because I'm actually learning a lot. As much that she's learning from me, I'm learning from her, and she's quite literally half my age. And I'm telling you, every conversation I have with her, I get value out of it. And that's why there's this relationship, and that's why. So I would say if you're looking for mentorship, you have to be open and available to it, and you have to realize that you also have something to give.
To give to them, because it's a mutually beneficial relationship, because you're learning from them and they're able to learn from you in what you're presenting to them, I guess, your challenges.
And if that's not happening, it's not a mentor.
That's an excellent point.
So it's someone like, yes, there's people that I look up to and I'm like, wow, that's really, but if that reciprocation's not happening, that's not a mentor relationship. It's somebody you look up to and you admire and you appreciate lessons that you can learn kind of in a one-way type of format, I guess.
That's great. Yeah. So that's a good recipe for great mentorship.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us before?
I mean, I could stay on this couch all day.
before running back to your business. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today,
Thanks for having
Sarah.
me.
Of course.
If you found this video helpful, let us know by hitting the like button down below and subscribing to our channel right here for weekly career tips from Indeed. For more advice on asking for a raise, check out this video and our full career tips playlist. Thanks for watching.